sometimes I'm not. How many of you have ever been in a situation that while you were in the situation, you could not wait to get out of it? Raise your hand. You were in a situation and you couldn't wait to get out of it. Well, I remember a few years back, I found myself in a situation, and while I was in it, all I wanted was to be set free from it. So a few years back, I was flying from Chicago to Nashville, Tennessee, where my Hendersonville people at. But I was flying by myself, and then all of a sudden, we fly into this storm. I mean, this is a really bad storm. It's raining right now. It was a million times worse than right now. How many of you have flown before? Raise your hand if you've ever flown before. Okay, so you know, like when you hit some turbulence, occasionally the plane will sort of dip a little, it'll drop a little bit. Well, at this point, that sort of happened, but the plane kept falling. It just kept like plummeting. And I started hearing people like shudder and things like that. And I'm like starting to grip my chair a little tighter. So I'm starting to freak out now, but then it gets even worse. At one point in this storm, you know, like instead of a plane turning so soft and gently, it sort of like tips 90 degrees and the luggage up top like starts to shift and stuff like that. People are now screaming. Babies are screaming, I'm screaming. So it was a horrible experience. I'm freaking out. And all I remember is I cannot wait to get out of this airplane. Obviously, I'm still here. We landed safely. The door flung open, and I just could not wait to get out of that death trap. Ever since that experience, I've been an incredibly nervous flyer because I realized something, that while I was sitting in that airplane in that chair, I had no control of what happened. Like I was completely out of control. And some of you might be able to relate to that today. You're sitting in your chair, just like I was sitting in that chair in the airplane. You're sitting in your chair, realizing that there's something going on in your life where you feel like you're out of control of that situation. And all you want to do is to be set free from it. Maybe for you, it's your family situation. Your family situation feels out of control and you wish something could be different, or you wish your family could be set free from that. Or maybe for you, it's a bad relationship or something's gone wrong in your friendship. Others of you feel out of control of something going on inside. You're dealing with sadness or anxiety or stress or depression, and you feel out of control and you just want to be set free from that. Well, today we're gonna hear about a story of a guy who's in a terrible situation in his life. He's completely out of control. All he wants is to be set free. We're gonna see this story in Mark chapter 5, starting with verse 2. And this is what it says. It says, when Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an impure spirit came from the tomb to meet him. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain, for he had often been chained hand and foot. But he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Here, right here. So I wanted to see how easy it is to maybe break out of chains. If this guy could do it, maybe I can. So let's see. I don't think I'm getting out of these. Does somebody have a key? No? So we saw that this man could not be contained by any chains. Well, we're here at this prison, and I've been assured that nobody has escaped this place, but this is where people go, they get locked up, they spend days and nights in this place, and their only hope is that one day, maybe they'll get out of here, be set free, and get on to a brand new life. So no human power could control this man. But then the verse goes on, and this is what it says. It says, night and day among the tombs and in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. He's cutting himself. You see, this guy is in pain. He's in agony. He wants to be set free from his circumstances and situations. And so he cuts himself. And we see this happen with people your age today. They're hurting, they're in pain, and they cut themselves. Other people, they try and escape their pain by getting into bad relationships. And even other people, some of you escape whatever you're going through by going up, locking yourself in your room, watching TV, going online, or just losing yourself in social media. Well, the story is about to take a turn for the better. Look at what it says in verse 6. It says this: when he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and he fell on his knees in front of him. This guy runs to Jesus and falls down on his knees in front of him. I mean, just a second ago, he's running around breaking chains, like kind of mocking people. And then Jesus shows up on the scene and he runs and falls on his knees. Now that's a sign of surrender. Like back in the old days when there was a king and a queen, people would kneel down and bow down before the king or queen to show as a sign of respect or honor. Or if there was an army, they would surrender by kneeling down before their enemies or opponents as a sign of surrender. So we see that this guy is kneeling down in honor, respect, and surrender to Jesus. So the story that we're hearing about is pretty crazy, isn't it? I mean, it's the story of a demon-possessed man who's breaking chains. Like, it's pretty wild, isn't it? But there's a few things that we can take from the story. There's a few things that we can know. And the first one is this: God is in control. God is in control of it all. No matter what circumstances, whatever situations or scenario you find yourself in, God's in control. Whatever you're struggling with, God is in control of that situation. Now, you may not need to literally physically like bow down and surrender like this guy did, but maybe for you, whatever that situation that's going on in your life, you need to surrender that over to God and give it to him and know that he's in control and trust him with it. All right, now check this out. In verse 7, it says this: he shouted at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In God's name, don't torture me before my appointed time." So this brings us to our second point. God always wins. So number one, God is in control. And number two, God always wins. This is a really interesting passage here. The demons know that in the end, they lose. And so he's basically asking Jesus, like, not yet, please don't torture me before my appointed time. I know in the end we lose, but not yet. Here's a great way to paint this picture. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about something that you're good at, like a sport or a hobby or music or something like that. Now, here's what I want you to do. Turn to the person next to you really quick and tell them what that one thing is. Okay, go ahead and do that really quick, really quick. All right, everybody come on back forward here. Okay, so now here's what I want you to think about. That thing that you said, I want you to think about the person who's a professional, who's the best at that thing that you can name. So like if you're a basketball player, it's either LeBron James or Steph Curry, or maybe you play soccer, it'd be like Ali Morgan, or maybe you play the cello, for you it's Yo-Yo Ma. I had to Google that. Now here's the thing, I want you to pretend and picture for a moment that you get the opportunity to compete against that professional in that thing that you're good at. Like if you're playing basketball, you're playing against LeBron James or Steph Curry. Now here's the thing about that, I promise you, no matter how good you are, you will lose. But I know that you're gonna go out and give it everything you have to do the best that you can, but everybody knows you're gonna lose. Nobody's gonna put their money on you. I know it's hard to take for some of you, you think you're really good at it. But that's basically what's happening in this story. You see, the demons, they know that in the end, that evil loses, but they're going, we're gonna give it everything we got right now until the end comes. You see, we know the end of this story. God always wins. Evil doesn't win, pain doesn't win, your tough or hard circumstances don't win if you give them over to God and let him be in control. In the end, he wins. And through that, you can win over those circumstances and those situations in your life. Well, the story goes on. Look at what it says in verse 8. For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of this man, you impure spirit." Then Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "My name is Legion," he replied, "for we are many." Now, here's the thing. This guy isn't saying like, "Hi, my name's Legion, nice to meet you, Jesus." Like, that's not his name. A legion is a mass group of people often associated with an army. So basically what he's saying, he's trying to intimidate Jesus here. He's saying like, we are Legion. I am strong. There's many of us in here. We're united, we're powerful. You better watch out. But as we're about to see, Jesus simply overpowers him. So number one, God is in control. Number two, God always wins. And number three, God's power is greater. Check out this last part of the story. It says, and he begged Jesus again and again not to send them out of the area. A large herd of pigs was feeding on the nearby hillside. The demons begged Jesus, "Send us among the pigs, allow us to go into them." He gave them permission, and the impure spirits came out and went into the pigs. Then a herd about 2,000 in number rushed down the steep banks into the lake, and they were drowned. This man is possessed by all these demons. He doesn't have control of his own life. He's in pain and agony, and then with a few words, Jesus frees him. Jesus completely frees him from his situation because God's power is greater than his current situation. You see, God's power is greater than your current situation. There are things in your life that are gonna tempt you. That's called spiritual attack. Others of you, there are gonna be some sins that you're gonna struggle with. That's called spiritual warfare. Some of you have some things going on in your life right now that are tough or some hard circumstances or situations, and you need to give those over to God and let him be in control, because he can and he will set you free from those things. Maybe for some of you, it's you keep messing around with your boyfriend or girlfriend and you know it's not right, and so you wanna stop, but you find yourself still doing it. Maybe you've been abused physically or sexually or emotionally. Others of you, you get picked on at school and you feel completely out of control there. And others of you, you have an addiction in your life that's controlling. Maybe it's drugs or alcohol or even overeating. Maybe you have been labeled something because of something you did in your past and you just can't seem to be set free from that label. Maybe you didn't make the team, or you had a falling out with a friend, or things are just crazy in your family situation. Maybe some of you, there's things inside that you feel like you are out of control. Maybe it's depression or sadness or anxiety or stress or worry. What is it for you? So here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to name that thing in your life. Not out loud, get it in your head though, but name that thing to yourself. What circumstance or situation or trial do you have going on in your life right now where you know that you need God to help set you free from that thing? Think of that one thing. Now that you've got that thing in here, now that you've named the thing that you need God to set you free from, I want you to hear this verse because I think it's one of the most powerful verses in the Bible. Jesus says in John 16:33, "In this world, you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world." Just like Jesus overcame the demon in the story today, he's also overcome the world. He is all powerful. He's in control and he has won. So whatever troubles you have in your life, know that God is bigger than those troubles. Whatever struggles you have going on in your life, Jesus has overcome those struggles for you. No matter what you're struggling with in life, know that through Jesus, you can overcome those things. Whatever hard situation you find yourself in, know that God can free you from those things. So whatever that thing is for you, now that you've named it, I want you to give that over to God and know that he's in control of it. The truth is, in this world, you're gonna have troubles. You're gonna have struggles, bad days, bad grades, breakups, depression, sadness, crazy families, bad situations with your friends. But if Jesus overcame the world, then he can overcome whatever that thing is for you.